and welcome to the Workforce Intelligence Network Data Dashboard webinar. This presentation will give you a rundown of the new data dashboard on winintelligence.org. This dashboard will allow users to access data on employment, job postings, population, and other economic indicators for customized regions within Greater Southeast Michigan. Users can view the data they select from their browser, download reports and graphics, and share them through email and social media through the new interface. This dashboard can be used to supplement the WIN labor market reports and will provide current economic data for the Greater Southeast Michigan area. With the current release schedule for labor market reports limiting when the individual county and regional labor market reports are to be released, our data dashboard will ensure users will be able to have the data they need from the 16 counties analyzed by the Workforce Intelligence Network. The data found on the dashboard consists of labor market data from the BLS, including unemployment rates, employment numbers, and the number of labor force participants. Economic indicators and demographic data from the Census Bureau and EMSI were also used to build this dashboard. To measure employer demand, posting data from Burning Glass Technologies was collected and analyzed. There are a few components to our dashboard I would like to introduce now before we take a look at the platform. Our data dashboard allows users to customize their own reports, selecting which occupation groups and geographies they would like to see. This feature allows users to build their own custom regions using the 16 counties of the Greater Southeast Michigan area, analyzed by WIN. With the ability to build their own reports, users are also able to choose from the 11 customized occupation groups WIN uses within its labor market reports. For those familiar with our labor market reports, while these reports focus on key occupation groups and geographies, users can dig deeper and analyze any occupation group for any or all geographies using our dashboard. During this webinar, we'll be going over how to use the data dashboard through 3 different reports. During these examples, key features and data will be highlighted to better prepare users to build their own reports. Before we start with our first example though, let's find the data dashboard on the WIN homepage. On the Workforce Intelligence Network homepage, winintelligence.org, you can access our dashboard by hovering your mouse over Data and Research. One of the links that appear in the drop-down menu is the WIN Data Dashboard. You can click on this link to go to the data dashboard. You can also type in windashboard.org to get to this page as well. When clicking on the Data Dashboard link, you will be brought to the data selection window seen here on the screen. This window will allow you to start building your own reports right away and will always appear when entering the data dashboard from our homepage. The first prompt is to select your geographical area. We are given 2 options when making the selection, either selecting from preset regions or create a custom region. The preset regions you can select from include the WIN region, which includes all the 16 counties found in this Create Custom Region area, or the City of Detroit. The other selection option is to create your own custom region, picking and choosing from the 16 counties WIN analyzes. You can select multiple counties or single counties to create your region. For this first example, we're going to take a look at the City of Detroit, so I will click on it here. This will take us to step 2, selecting our occupation groups. These occupation groups look at jobs containing similar skill sets, going a step past industry breakdowns. From this combining of similar occupations, we can better identify which kinds of jobs are in demand, what skills are employers seeking, what are the wage averages in particular fields, and other similar information. These groupings can be used to better analyze parts of the labor market in Michigan. When selecting your occupation groups, you have a choice to select all occupation groups together or select individual occupation groups to customize your report. Clicking Select All Occupation Groups will automatically generate a report, or you can check the checkboxes underneath and hit Create Report. For this example, let's select all occupation groups. If you were following my selection of the City of Detroit as the geography and all occupation groups, you should see your report is made. Together, let's take a look at the data generated in this report. We'll be starting by looking at the top set of data. This section of data will always be generated regardless of what report you create. It will give you a summary of the labor market, top posted jobs, and economic indicators in the area you selected. Reports will always generate these items, no matter the geography or occupation group selected. These are the graphs you can find within the top section of the dashboard report. Employment, labor force, and unemployment graphic, the overall number of job postings in the area per quarter, the top posted jobs graphic in the region you selected, the change in annual population numbers, the change in employment between years, the annual GDP produced per capita, the annual per capita income, and the total annual completions in the area. Let's start by looking at the first graphic generated, the labor force and employment graphic. We can see that a line graph was generated looking at the labor force and employment numbers in the city of Detroit over the past several months. Although it's nice to see these trends, it is important to see what each figure was for each month. To view data on any of the graphics on this dashboard, you need only simply hover your mouse over a node or point on the graph. This will cause a callout to appear with the specific data on the graphic. For example, let's see what the labor force number was like during October of 2017. Hovering the mouse over the node will tell us that during October 2017, there were over 246,000 people in the labor force. The same can be done for employment, where we can see that in October, there were 224,000 people employed. In the top corner, you can see the unemployment rate. This is the most recent month's unemployment rate, found by the dashboard using the employment and labor force data to calculate the percentage of unemployed people in the city of Detroit, otherwise known as the unemployment rate. The calculation is done for you, pulling this rate out of the numbers given. Let's assume that this graph shows valuable information you may want to talk about in a presentation or maybe on a report. The data dashboard has the functionality to pull this graphic right from the report for you to use. We can click on this download chart button to open up a callout, allowing us to download the chart. Here we can see some of the data from the chart. We have two options in saving this chart. We can save the image as, saving the image as a JPEG for us to use later on, or copy the image and paste it into a Microsoft Word document. For the ease of the user, the citation for both the data source and Workforce Intelligence Network are already in the graphic. After you have copied or saved this graphic, hit the close button underneath the graphic to return to your report. The next graphic, showing the total job postings between quarters, has similar functions. We can again view data points by hovering over the nodes or points in the graphic and download the chart using the download chart button. The total job postings callout in the top right corner shows the most recent quarter's postings for ease of viewing. It's important to note here, and with all job postings data, that job postings do not necessarily translate into jobs. In many cases, one posting can be for multiple hires, or multiple postings may only account for one hire in a company. When analyzing job postings, these figures give us a better idea to how employer demand looks. In the case for this graphic, are employers looking for more workers than in subsequent quarters? We can see that there was a drop between Q3 and Q4 in postings, meaning that positions may have been filled or employers took down their postings. Postings may be open several quarters at a time, but these numbers can give us insight to what employers are looking for to better improve the talent pipeline. The next graphic shows us the top posted jobs within the city of Detroit. This graphic shows the most recent quarter's top posted jobs. Again, putting your mouse over the data, in this case the bar will create a callout for the data, but the numbers can be also seen at the end of each bar. Below this graphic, we are given the last few pieces of demographic and economic data for the region. As these are just numbers, There are no download chart buttons available, but they can be copied and pasted or recorded by the users. Let's look at the first two numbers. These are the population changes and the employment changes in the area. Changes were selected to be displayed for these data points to help users see how the area is changing between years. Population takes a look at the most recent American Community Survey results to measure population between the last two recorded years. The annual comparison of employment figures comes from the BLS. For those who want to see the actual figures, I urge you to look at the State LMI Office website. Their website houses a wonderful data tool which allows users to pull customized data depending on your interest. It is a great tool to use alongside this dashboard as well as find other economic information for the state of Michigan. For those interested, there is a link to the website within this dashboard we will go over briefly later on in this webinar. The next two data points look at per capita GDP and per capita income. Both look at income and GDP within the region broken down by the population residing in the area. These values can help give an idea of economic health in terms of production and income in the area as you analyze. The final bit of data before the occupational data starts is the total number of completions in the area. This counts the number of academic completions made during the most recent recorded year from IPID's data site gathered through the MSI. This concludes the overview of the regional data generated in the report. Again, these data points we've covered will appear in all generated reports and provide you with an overview of the region you've selected or created, no matter what geographies or occupation groups you select. From this point, let's take a look at the occupational data found on the dashboard. The following graphics and data all contain information concerning specific occupation groups. We will start looking at the data available in these reports with the first occupation group, agriculture. No matter the occupation group you look at, the group will be broken up into the following charts and data. The top 5 posted jobs in the occupation group, the change in occupation group postings from last quarter, the postings over time graphic for the occupation group, the change in employment in the occupation group from this year to last, the advertised salary data found in job postings, the minimum required educational attainment in job postings, and the minimum experience required in job postings. This first graphic in the occupation group is the top jobs graphic. Of the ONET codes compiled into this group, these occupations are the 5 with the highest number of postings. As before, you can look at the value by hovering your mouse over the data point or at the callout at the end of the bar. You can also download the graphic for your use as well. You may be interested in what SOC codes are used when building these occupation groups. You can click this little link here, learn more about occupation groups, to open up a PDF explaining which SOC codes were selected to build the occupation groups, as well as a little bit more information about them. I urge you to check it out if you are interested to see how these groups were constructed. But let's get back to the dashboard. The next bit of information we can see is the quarterly change in job postings. This is taking a look at how postings have changed from last quarter. We can see for agriculture, postings actually increased by about 9.24% from the last quarter. Beneath that data point, we can take a look at the total number of jobs posted by quarter. Again, seeing this increase we saw in the data above. But we can take a look further and see how postings have changed over time. The next data point is the agriculture employment numbers. We can see that the number of workers in Detroit has increased from last year by about 0.05%. In all of these change data points, there is a little bit of information given within the box telling you what were the numbers last year and what were the numbers this year to calculate that percentage change. Feel free to take a look at this information. It is there for you to use. The last three graphics all show information found within the job postings in the agriculture occupation group. The first of these is the advertised wages in posting. It is important to note that these are just advertised wages in postings. Similar to how postings do not necessarily translate into hiring, these advertised wages do not necessarily translate into actual earnings. Offers may be higher or lower than advertised due to applicants' experience levels, educational attainment, or as a result of negotiations during the hiring process. This information can give job seekers an idea of what to expect earnings to be in particular occupations, and help paint a picture of how wages progress with further education or experience. Employers can use this information when recruiting to see how they fall in the spectrum of competitive wages. You'll notice that although there were 331 job postings during Q4 2017, there were only about 30 job postings that conveyed advertised salary information. This is because a lot of these postings may not have information concerning advertised salary, the educational requirements for the posting, or the experience level required for the posting. So these last three graphics, you may notice less data points. Let's move on to the next one. The next graphic looks at the minimum education level employers require in postings. Job seekers can use this information to see if employers are looking for particular educational requirements in certain fields, or what education could be beneficial in furthering their career. You can get a call out of the data points if you have your mouse over and download the chart, as with most of these graphics. The last graphic for the occupation group is the experience level requested in postings. These are expressed in the number of years or experience applicants should have when applying. 0 to 2 years of experience can be seen as entry-level experience, with a small experience requirement in the job postings. Job seekers can use this data to understand the kind of experience they need in specific fields and highlight opportunities for those wishing to enter the labor force or change career paths. We can see beneath this graphic the next occupation group starts, with a title appearing on our screen, in this case Business and Finance Occupation Group. From this point, we can scroll down and continue looking at particular occupation groups. Let's say that after evaluating agriculture, we are interested in looking at healthcare instead. Instead of scrolling, we can go to the sidebar over here that lists the occupation groups and click healthcare. This will jump us right to the point we need, and we can see similar graphics to what we've seen in agriculture, taking a look at the top jobs posted, the quarterly change in job postings, the number of jobs posted per quarter, the employment, the advertised salaries, the educational requirements, and the experience requirements, all for healthcare occupation. This sidebar will let you navigate between occupation groups a lot faster than scrolling. Now that we've covered the data you can expect to find on the dashboard through this large report, let's look at how to make another report that can show what things look like in a specific county. For this example, I'm going to make a report concerning Macomb County, selecting only a few occupation groups. First, we need to create a new report. To do this, we do not need to go back to the WIN homepage and reopen the dashboard. Instead, we can actually click on this button here titled Change Region. Clicking on this will bring us to the first screen, selecting the geographic area, where we now can check off the box Macomb County and create the region. This way we're looking only at Macomb County. Now, we want to take a look at only a few occupation groups this time. So let's select Agriculture, Energy, and TDL. From this point, we can hit Create Report to build our report. We know all the data we should expect to see from the first example, but let's take a look and see that we have all the data we need. As in our previous example, the first batch of data and graphics show us information for the entire area we selected. the employment and labor force in Macomb, how many job postings there are in the area, as well as how many job postings over time there have been, the top jobs, and the other economic indicators. As well, you may have noticed that we have in the top jobs, registered nurses is one of our top jobs, although we did not select healthcare. This is because this is taking a look at the top jobs posted for the entire region amongst all occupation groups. We have a little indicator on these graphics to help identify which occupation groups are shown in the top posted jobs. We can see here it says includes all occupations. As well, if you download the chart, you can see again selected regions include Macomb, as well includes all occupations. This way, when you pull these graphics, you have the reference to the geography you selected and the occupation group you're looking at. Now let's close this graphic and get back to the report. Underneath all the regional data, you'll see the occupation data. And again, you can navigate between the different occupation groups by selecting the occupation on the sidebar. Now let's say that a coworker asked to see the report you were getting some of this information from. They're interested in taking a look at Macomb County and seeing maybe how the Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics occupation group is doing this quarter. The new and improved dashboard has sharing options that allows you to share this direct report with someone else. Simply click on the sharing options here and you can select your method of sharing. So let's say you want to email this report out and to share with your coworker. Here we have a fillable form to email this dashboard link. You can enter the email address you're sending this to, your information, as well as add some notes. When you send this email, this direct link here at the top will be sent. This direct link has encoded the custom report that you created. Saving this link, sending it out, will take users right back to the report we were looking at just before. Now, let's close this page. For people like me who love data, they may want to share this report on social media to show their friends or put it on their LinkedIn profile to share with their network. To do this, users can click any of the social network buttons to share this report on whichever platform you'd like. Simply log into that platform and you will create a post. There is one last way to send and share this report we've created. We can close out the sharing options and actually use the hyperlink in the browser. You can copy this and save it to a Microsoft Word document, send it out in an email, or even favorite this link. Saving this web address will allow you to go right back to the report you were looking at, and as time changes, see how the data is moving. You can check every month, quarter, year, or whenever you'd like to follow the data as it updates. Now that we've gone over the sharing options and taken a look at how to save these reports and check them at a later date, let's take a look at the third example, creating a customized region selecting multiple counties. To do this, again, select the Change Region button, bringing us back to step 1. Now, let's take a look at the counties bordering Ohio: Lenawee, Hillsdale, and Monroe County. We select Create Report. Now let's take a look at 3 occupation groups. In this example, let's take a look at healthcare, IT, and skilled trades. Oh no, it looks like I may have missed one of my occupation groups. Using the sidebar, we can see I only selected healthcare and IT and missed skilled trades. Now we can fix this without going and recreating the whole report. To do this, simply select Change Occupations. This will bring up step 2 again and allow us to select the occupations. So we need healthcare, IT, and skilled trades. If we hit Create a Report, we will see on the sidebar over here, Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Monroe County remained for this report we created. That way we preserved the counties we selected, but we're able to change the occupation groups we were looking at. Now let's say we want to print this report to help out in a presentation we're making. We want to take the whole report as a handout while we cover how the border counties are doing. To print the whole report, you can click the print button up here to bring up a printer prompt. It is recommended that you have the layout set to landscape so that the graphics don't get cut off due to the browsers. We can see here a print layout in the Chrome browser taking a look at all our graphics being printed. You can then hit print report and it will print each of these graphics and data points for you to use. One last point I'd like to go over in this example is seeing the selected regions in each of these graphics. We can see here in the labor force and employment graphic, we have Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Monroe County selected. The same is true for when you hit download chart. The employment and labor force information being gathered here is taking a look at those three counties combined, taking care of the math for us. The same is for all the graphics here in this report. The dashboard will add up all the information from each of those counties and aggregate it into these graphics and data points so that we don't have to do the calculations ourselves. Now that we've seen all the data and report capabilities, let's take a look at some of the other features the dashboard has available for users. First, let's look at the Help page by clicking the Help button. You can select the Help button on the sidebar or the top. This page provides further information for users to help them working with the dashboard. Some topics include what is labor market data, what labor market data is used by WIN, who can use the WIN labor market data, how can you use this data, what kinds of labor market data and reports are available through WIN, and where does the data come from. In this section here, where does WIN data come from, you can click the hyperlinks in the descriptions to go to the data sources webpage if you want some further information. The last link in this list connects users to the Michigan Bureau of Labor Market Information and Strategic Initiatives, or the Michigan LMI site, which offers that fantastic data tool available to the public we went over before. We try to make our dashboard work alongside with the LMI site data tools to allow users to gather powerful information when utilizing both sites. In the Help page, we also have a link to ONET Online for those wanting to take a further look at the occupations found in the top posted jobs in each of the regions. You can copy and paste the occupations right from the chart and research them on ONET Online through their search bar to take a further look at what some of these occupations are, the skills they need, and other valuable information. In this Help page, we also take a look at which counties are selected by WIN for analysis. As well, in the bottom section here, we have that link connecting to the PDF describing the custom occupation groups WIN uses in analysis. This box right here, need more information than what you were able to find on the data dashboard, contains a link to the data request form. This data request form can be found on the sidebar as well for whenever you're needing customized data. Clicking on this request will open up a new web page where you can fill out a form to get customized data from the WIN Research Data Team. Simply input your information, the data that you need, and one of us on the WIN Research and Data Team will get in touch with you to make sure you get the data that you're looking for. The last link I'd like to go over is the Provide Feedback button. This button here will open up a prompt where you can fill out information with questions, comments, or concerns you might have on the dashboard. Feel free to let us know what information you might want to see later on as we develop this dashboard more. Are you finding any errors or any other comments you can think of concerning this dashboard? This concludes our walkthrough of the Workforce Intelligence Network data dashboard. I hope that you have found it insightful and helpful on how to navigate our new data dashboard. I urge you to go onto the platform yourself and build your own reports for you to use. If you have any questions concerning this webinar or the data dashboard, feel free to contact us through the email addresses provided on the screen. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to you using our data dashboard and hearing any feedback you may have on it. Thank you.